It was supposed to be just another relaxing weekend on the water with my dad, nothing fancy. Just some fishing, a few cold drinks, and the kind of quiet only the ocean can offer. But everything changed the second she showed up. Now, before I get into what happened, let me say this: I've seen a lot out on the water. I'm in the Coast Guard, so dealing with emergencies, reckless boaters, and wild situations is kind of my thing. But this took things to a whole new level. We were docked at the marina, checking the lines and getting ready to head out, when this woman, let's call her Karen, pulled up in a rented speedboat like she was in some kind of action movie. She didn't slow down, didn't check her surroundings, and definitely didn't seem to care that our boat was right in her path. Before anyone could shout a warning, bam, she slammed right into the side of my dad's boat. My heart dropped. The sound of fiberglass crunching is something you don't forget. My dad stood there in shock, just staring at the damage. And then, as if things couldn't get worse, she jumped off her boat, stormed over, and started yelling. At us, she blamed us for being in her way, claimed we didn't signal her, and said she was going to report us to the marina. That's when I stepped in. She had no idea who she was talking to. No clue that I've been trained to handle maritime safety, that I know boating laws better than most, and that I've written up people for exactly the kind of reckless behavior she just pulled. I stayed calm. I didn't flash a badge or get in her face, but I started asking questions, and that's when her story started to fall apart. You won't believe what we found when we looked closer at her. Rental paperwork and what she tried to do once she realized who I really was. So, there we were, standing on the dock with a big chunk of my dad's boat crushed in. And this woman Karen's still trying to convince everyone that we were at fault. My dad, who's usually the calmest guy I know, just looked at me and shook his head. I could tell he was trying to keep it together. That boat means the world to him. He's had it for years, fixed it up himself, and we've made so many memories out on the water. Seeing it wrecked like that, it hit hard. Meanwhile, Karen was going off about how she didn't see the boat, and how we should have had warning flags up, which made no sense because we were literally tied to the dock. She kept name-dropping the boat rental company, saying things like, "They told me everything was fine, and I'm not new to boating. I've done this before." But nothing about her story added up. That's when I started noticing little details. Her boat didn't have the proper registration sticker. The emergency radio was missing, and the life jackets, still in plastic. It was becoming clear that not only was she careless, but she might not have even been legally allowed to operate that boat in the first place. I asked her for her rental agreement, and she hesitated, big red flag. She finally handed over a crumpled sheet of paper, and sure enough, it wasn't in her name. It was under someone else's, looked like a cousin or a friend. That's when my Coast Guard instincts really kicked in. I've dealt with cases like this before, where people use someone else's credentials to rent a boat and then act like they know what they're doing. Most of the time, it ends in a warning. Sometimes, it ends in something much worse. Karen started realizing that I wasn't just some random guy at the marina. I could see her whole vibe change. She got quieter, more defensive, started backing up and muttering about how she had somewhere to be. But I wasn't letting this go. Not after the damage she caused, and not after what I saw on that rental form. I held on to the rental form a little longer, reading every line while Karen shifted uncomfortably next to me. Her confidence was cracking and fast. The name listed on the agreement didn't match her ID, and the emergency contact was a number. I instantly recognized someone I'd actually helped once during a routine safety check months ago. That guy was solid, a real boat guy. So why would he let someone like Karen take his name and boat out without even being there? I asked her, straight up, "Is this your boat, or did you borrow it without telling the owner?" Her face went blank. For a second, she looked like she was about to run. My dad, still standing by the damage, gave me a look he knew I was onto something. I could see other boaters nearby watching everything unfold, some pretending not to stare. Others clearly annoyed that someone had pulled a stunt like this at their quiet marina, while Karen stammered about it being a shared family vessel. I stepped back and called the number on the rental form. I didn't even need to explain much, just said I was calling about the boat. The guy on the other end, furious. Turns out, Karen wasn't supposed to be anywhere near it. She'd taken the keys without permission after hearing he wouldn't be using it that weekend. Total misuse. And now, with damage done and her name nowhere on the actual agreement, she was in serious trouble. Meanwhile, my dad started noticing something else's GPS system was missing. It had been right there the day before, locked in place. Now, it was gone. And guess whose boat had an identical-looking model lying loose on the deck? Karen's things were getting deeper than just a reckless crash now. We weren't just dealing with carelessness anymore. This was starting to feel like it could be intentional. She kept saying she'd make it right, that it was all a misunderstanding, but every word felt less believable and just. When I thought it couldn't go any further, we spotted someone else walking toward us, someone who knew exactly what Karen had done and wasn't about to stay quiet. The person walking toward us was a marina staff member named Rob someone. My dad and I knew well. He's been working the docks for years, keeps a sharp eye on everything, and doesn't miss much. As soon as he got close, he gave me a quiet nod and then looked straight at Karen. You could feel the air shift. She froze like she knew whatever was coming next wasn't going to be good. Rob didn't waste time. He asked Karen for her full name and pointed out that marina security had her on camera coming in way too fast, breaking the no-wake zone by a mile. He'd already reviewed the footage after hearing the crash, and he wasn't happy. Then, he looked at the GPS unit on her deck, the one that mysteriously looked like the one missing from my dad's boat, and asked why a rental boat would be carrying someone else's navigation system. Karen tried to answer, but her voice cracked. She knew she was cornered. While she stumbled over her words, my phone buzzed. It was a text from the boat owner, the guy whose name was on the rental. He said he was on his way to the marina right now, and he wanted to speak to Karen, face to face. That's when things really got tense. Karen's eyes darted around like she was trying to figure out an escape route. She started packing her bag, quietly slipping things into it like she could just walk away before anyone stopped her. But then my dad noticed something that made this all worse. His boat's registration papers kept in a sealed compartment were also gone. That's when it hit us. This wasn't just a careless mistake. It was starting to look like Karen had planned to crash the boat, then make it look like we were at fault. Maybe she thought if she could blame us, she'd get away clean and avoid the bill for the damage. But what she didn't count on was us being there when it happened. And she definitely didn't expect me to be in the Coast Guard. We all stood there, staring her down as the boat owner's truck pulled into the lot. The truck doors slammed shut, and out stepped the boat owner Jake, mid-30s, tan from years on the water, and clearly not in the mood for games. He stormed down the dock toward us, his eyes locked on Karen. She tried to smile and wave like everything was fine, but Jake didn't even flinch. He walked right past her and straight to me. "Thanks for the call," he said, nodding. She wasn't supposed to be anywhere near my boat. Karen jumped in, her voice suddenly high and panicked. Wei Tai was just borrowing it. Yeah. Weren't using it, and he cut her off. You took it without asking. You ignored every rule I gave you. And now there's damage, stolen gear, and I find out you tried to pin it on them. Karen's face dropped, but before she could say anything else, Rob the marina guy spoke up again. He had just gotten off a call with the harbor master. Apparently, this wasn't the first time Karen had done something like this. Few months Back, a different rental boat had been returned with scratches, missing equipment, and no clear explanation. The name on that agreement, same as the one she used this time, Jake's. The plot twist hit all of us at once. Karen had been using Jake's name for more than just this one trip. She'd been borrowing or stealing boats under his account, knowing that he had a clean history and likely wouldn't notice right away. That meant Jake was on the hook for thousands in damages from multiple incidents. And now it made sense. Why she was so desperate to leave before everything came out. My dad looked at me, eyebrows raised. So this wasn't just an accident. Nope. This was calculated. Karen had been playing everyone. She wasn't just reckless, she was using someone else's reputation to cover her tracks. And now, standing in front of the crushed hull of my dad's boat with Jake fuming and security footage ready to be reviewed. She was out of options, but just when we thought it couldn't get more intense. Rob's radio crackled with a call from the other dock. Another boat had just reported missing gear. And guess whose name came up again? Rob held the radio to his ear, then looked over at us with a sharp expression. "That was Dock B," he said. "Another B."